welcome to another edition of GoogleIsEvil. Formerly What the Fuck, but whatever. It doesn't really matter. So only one video this week again, but you know, it's probably worth it. It's probably as good as 2 or 3 videos, who knows. Hard to measure that kind of thing, so we'll play a little bit and see what it says. I think I started with a poem, so we'll miss that part because we don't like poetry much. Anyway, so we'll see what we're saying right here and see if it says anything. You know, and there's all these little things that push you in certain directions, you know, like. So, yeah, so just much of our life is just living it. And we have to live it by the rules of I need to not be depressed, and I need to feel motivated, and I need to see purpose. You know, even when I can understand it's going to be something I'm making up. So you have to live your life in a very fake kind of way to make it possible to be a consumer, you know, and maintain your physical and mental health, so to speak. And the real conversation is just about, yes, when I have a few serious moments, when I'm going to talk reality, when I'm going to start pushing other people in a direction, or I'm going to try to influence, that you try to do that, okay, in the real world, that the real facts. You're not selling lemons, you're not selling bullshit, you're not just playing a game, you know, that it's a serious game, ideas. And and I think those two can be compatible. I think you can, you know, we see people do it all the time. They play video games, they get immersed. You can watch a movie and get immersed. You know, we're able to immerse ourselves into things that we would understand to be trivial or silly or foolish or foolhardy or nonsensical or mushy or bullshitty. And it's not a problem. So, yeah, but that's really the argument. Yeah, I'm not suggesting you can live by, that you can be an honest brain and function, because, yeah, it's going to be pretty hard to do that. So you do have to play by the rules of the maze. And the argument is, though, is that when, you know, every now and then you sneak out of the maze and you have a conversation above the maze about what the game is you're playing and what value it has. That kind of thing. Mostly for you, in terms of what kind of bullshit is running around in your brain about what's going on here and what the hell you're part of. And right. So that's the context, is somewhere in your life, if you're going to use your brain properly, you're going to have to add it up and rise above and look at it and say, well, yeah, what's the truth? You know, and yeah, I mean, that, I hate to even say it, but I mean, that's a sign of maturity, okay? Is the mature understanding is recognizing, you know, that statistics are real, facts are real, you're going to die, all this crap is going to happen, it's going to be messy, blah, blah, blah. Quit pretending it's all working just fine, when it obviously doesn't work just fine. But I'm not suggesting you spend all your time bemoaning or being scared to death, because that's not very practical. Not impotent, just sterile. But nobody had kids anymore. Okay, women. Yeah, so what would the horror actually be? Wouldn't you all accommodate to the new world pretty quickly? I mean, we're, you know, like billy goats. In some ways we can adjust to, you know, different environments and we'll do just fine. So, you know, the idea that it's somehow a horrible imposition to imagine a world that creates less new, that doesn't live for raising a new generation, but actually lives for their own adventures. You know, they don't have to see everything through some kid's eyes. They can actually use their own. You know, they don't have to puppet their life, you know, in the form of offspring and that whole playing of the raising the kid game, when they don't even take it very seriously. I mean, come on, they don't really have a passion for it. So why pretend they need it when now there's lots of other ways to do the same thing, find the same gratification. So they can get into little crannies and shit, and you're just saying, how that? Okay, so I was talking a little bit about evolution and just fish, and just, how, it's amazing what evolution creates, these weird designs and these forms. And it really didn't get to the point, which is it all just controlled by a brain for that purpose, for the purpose of whatever you're designed to do, and that everything has its little niche-y piece of maze that it's playing, a little different kind of maze, square mazes, round mazes, all kinds of different mazes, but it's all just engineered for the purpose of this survival nonsense, and in perpetuating a genetic code. It really doesn't have anything to do with creating any good game. How good the game is has nothing to do with the design of the game, frankly. The words seep into the vernacular much sooner, so to speak. You're more likely to hear the word Schopenhauer or, Yeah, so the world has changed. I mean, people who are a little pessimistic now had to really fight the Borg of the institutions, and now a lot of that's dying down in the sense that there's a lot of divergent voices, and you can actually hear the words now where you didn't hear. You couldn't even have a conversation about parents being morons. Nobody would even say the words. Is it smart to be a parent? Is it kind? None of that conversation was even accessible. And so it does make it a little easier, I think, for the young people of today to recognize that there's a great deal to be suspicious of and suspect of in terms of the jargons that people are living by, their silly fables, that they aren't there's not much integrity to the life people are living. Yes, even though that's preposterous, but yes, let's just imagine God doesn't exist. Then they'll concede they wouldn't. Yeah, so the argument is that the fact is that for there's already a huge number of people who are finding out on their own. It doesn't take a great deal of philosophical thought to figure out having kids isn't for me. And on the philosophical side, it can be understood too that a lot of people who are clinging to these old traditional fables are doing so because life is just bleak and horrible, and they need that fantasy to get through it, and that if they admitted the truth, that the fantasy wasn't real, that there was no cleansing God process to make it all better or to make it worth it, that it wouldn't be worth it, that the dismal stories are just that, dismal stories, and there's no point in rewriting them. It is a bad play without the big finish of a heaven, and therefore you don't finance, doing the play over again. That kind of thing. Okay. No, well, that's just... but anyway, we don't need the end. Project, and I'm working on it. Oh, okay. Well, it's kind of a... Then I just talk about excuse making and how, that's the great line from the great excuse maker. I'm working on it, and I'm working on it, but I'm got to do better. And I'm working on it, but it's, yeah, whatever. I'm aware that I'm making excuses, but whatever. It's, doing the best I can. That's another excuse maker line, but I mean, it is true in a sense that this apparently is it is a little difficult for me to change, improve, because I'm obviously haven't been doing it much. But anyway, I'll work on it. That's another excuse. But anyway, wherever you go, the brain rationalizes, and you shouldn't do that, frankly. Anyway, so I think there's enough in there to be worth your attention and time, but you can make whatever decision you wish. So the video is on the website. That's where you have to go to see it. You can't see it here, you have to go there to see it. So links provided in the description and in the comments and whatnot. And that's, you know, whatever. The likelihood is that you're not some new viewer, and it's, you know, because YouTube really doesn't, you know, doesn't show these videos to too many, doesn't give too many new viewers the opportunity to see anything. But, you know, whatever. It's the nature of the game. So I guess this is for some future audience, maybe, that may be generated by some different mechanism. Blah, 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 blah. Than relying on the Googleplex. Yeah, just a fact. Google doesn't see this content as valuable. It's just a fact. Anyway, so till the next time, and such, and so forth and whatnot. No, that's really enough. Yeah. So, yeah, that's enough. So, just remember, Google is evil. Don't support it in any way that's, if you can, avoid supporting it, avoid it, whatever. Spit at it where the opportunity provides an option, and whatnot. So, till the next time and such.